Prior to 2016, it never occurred to me that I could wake up sick and never get better. I was healthy until I wasn't, and that changed everything. Slowly, my body betrayed me, and without realizing, I was a shell of my old self. I was flooded with an unbearable feeling of isolation and no way of expressing the mental and physical pain I was in. I knew I never wanted anyone to feel the way I did in this dark moment. So I created Rare as a way to communicate with the world around me. It saved my life, becoming the safe space I needed in this cloud of confusion. And as I've learned, I wasn't actually alone. There were over 300 million people who suffered from rare diseases and invisible struggles around the world. So what is Rare? It's a great question. Simply an apparel and accessory brand with a purpose: to bring the invisible visible.
My name is Teresa and I'm the COO of Rare. And what really brought me to Rare is my son's rare disease that he was born with. It's called Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome, and it's an overgrowth disorder that affects his 11th chromosome, and it causes him to be very large. Him and my 5-year-old son actually share clothes and they're 3 years apart. It also affects his rate of growth, so he has a very high risk of getting cancer, so he's screened for that. It also affects how his body grows. It doesn't grow the same on both sides, and it also, for him, has affected his tongue, causing him breathing issues. The main reason why I really wanted to advocate for his syndrome is because not a lot of people know about it, so it goes undiagnosed for a really long time, and that gives kids a higher risk of suffering from cancer because they're not screened for it. So at least if he were to get cancer, we would know ahead of time or in an earlier stage than if we didn't know and he wasn't screened and it was more advanced when we found it. So that is pretty much what brought me to Rare, is just the need to advocate for him. So I think the one thing that's important for people to understand with Rare and us coming together was that us working individually, it was working, but not at the scale that it could work with us coming together. We each had a voice and we were each reaching people in there. I was reaching a lot of people that was associated with my son's syndrome. She was reaching a lot of people that had chronic illness and you know, situations like that. But together we realized through talking that we would be able to reach so much more people coming together under one entity as opposed to working separately. So I think that's one of the big things with Rare, is that we're able to reach more people because of the brand.
And also community over competition.
Yeah.
We're working together for the common goal of bringing the invisible struggle to light, to bring the things that we don't love to talk about because they make us vulnerable to the forefront of our conversations, despite how uncomfortable that can be.
Yeah. So a lot of things that we're thinking of for Rare in the future is, we realized through talking to people and through networking with people that struggle with a lot of different illnesses and rare diseases, is that there is a lack of clothing options for people that have accessibility needs. So if you are going and you need to get an infusion through your port or something like that, there's a big lack of branding in that way. So we're working together to come up with an accessibility clothing line to cater to that population, because it is a bigger population than people realize.
And I think to that too, it would be like Owen, when he was in the hospital, he tends to pick out his port, which will have a very high emphasis on VWS in honor of Owen, but it will also give other patient advocates the ability to step up and say, hey, this disease really means something to me. I want to start a weekly blog, or I want to start a weekly platform to talk about a specific disease. Whereas Rare is a platform for everybody. You know, we have a very inclusive definition of what rare means. You know, any invisible struggle, any invisible challenge, but that's going to be a place where you can really hone in and get mental health, LGBT rights, all the way to this BWS spectrum. And I think that's what's going to, really be different about Live Large and Stay Rare. And so that's definitely in the works.
It's going to be a space where people can really just come and feel welcomed and not feel like their disease is something that they have to hide behind. A lot of things that happen with rare disease is that you feel like you need to hide that aspect from everyone else, but it's such a huge part of your life, and that is part of the problem. You feel very insecure about what you're struggling with and what you're going through, but that's exactly what other people need to see. They need to see that vulnerability, they need to see that struggle, because they're feeling it but not knowing how to express it and feel like it can be a normal part of their life. So I know that's one thing that we're really big on doing. And we also want to be able to go to conferences, go to different, like a Beckwith Wiedemann conference, go to different chronic illness conferences, be there and let people know that we're a brand that's here. We're not just clothes, we're a community. And also we would love to take things from those conferences and then give them virtually out to our community, because not everybody can make those types of things. So through our brand, we also recognize that there is such a lack of funding and there is such a lack of resources for rare diseases, that if we, through our clothes, can help people tell their story, but also give back to organizations that hone in and focus on research and solving some of these problems, then we'll do that.
Absolutely. And so giving back has always been a huge part of Rare. From the conception, there's been 15% donated to either the National Organization of Rare Disease, but through that, I started to really realize that if I was telling people where their 15% was going to, was I really giving them a voice, or was I kind of writing their agenda for them? If we don't have your cause, there's a nomination button, but we have some pretty broad categories. We like to keep anywhere between 7 and 8 different nonprofits up to date on the website. So, and keep them current with everything going on in society, while also keeping true to our mission of bringing the invisible to light.
Yeah. So then we did all right.
We did all right. I think, the biggest thing is that everyone's fighting a battle that you know nothing about. Yeah. So be patient, be kind, and be willing to listen to one another. That's how I got this one. Oh, you had